Hi, in this video, we're going to work your fourth problem from your homework over chapters 13 and 14. So this is a chapter 14 homework. It's one problem. It correlates to problem 14-23 in your textbook, and that's on page 676. So if you want to look at your book and see this problem in your book, it's 14-23. You, of course, will work it in Connect, and it'll be different numbers, but same problem. So I'm going to work that for you in Connect, and we'll get started doing that. To do that, I have to share my screen with you. So going to share. Okay, looks like it's shared. So I'll just come out here. All right, so here we are. We're on problem 4 of the chapter 13 and 14 homeworks. And what we've got here is we're choosing between two investments. We can either make a product A or a product B, right? And so they cost a slightly different to invest in, and they're going to have different cash flows. So we have to figure out, okay, which one of these do I want to invest in? And each one of these videos will take you through a different method of determining do we want to do A or do we want to do B? And so the first one, the one we're working in this one, is payback period. So we're doing requirement 1, and it says calculate the payback period for each product. So payback period is a very crude way of doing a decision. Might work. It does not consider the time value of money, so that's an issue with it. But if you just want a real quick rule of thumb, something like I have to decide immediately, you know, maybe do something like that. So what I would suggest is we're going to start out with calculating. So this is like a two-step process, right? We got to figure out, based on this information, what is our cash per year, right? So every year, how much cash do we get out of this thing? And then I use that, divide it into my investment to get my payback period. So first part of the problem would be calculating your annual net cash flows. So obviously, revenues minus expenses is going to tell me what my cash flows are. So the revenues for each, there you go. Sales revenue for A, it's 250, and for B, it's 350. So just bring up my little handy dandy notepad here. And so for product A, we're going to have cash in of 170, and I'm sorry, that's the investment. Next line down, 250. And for product B, our sales revenue is 350,000. All right, so that's our cash coming in, but of course we have to subtract out our expenses. So the variable expenses are 120 and 170. Get this back up here. And of course those are flowing out, so I'm going to put those in brackets so that you know that. Obviously, you're just going to type in the answer, so you can do that however you want. And it's variable expenses 170 for product B. Okay, now you'll notice we're skipping depreciation expense. Obviously, that's not part of a cash flow. You may recall us adding it back in, and in fact, even in the beginning of this chapter, where they first start talking about it, and they're talking about, well, if you're basing your cash flows on net income, you'd have to add back in depreciation, but we're just not going to subtract it out in the first place. So we're just going to skip depreciation because it's a non-cash expense, but we will subtract out this out-of-pocket operating costs. So for product A, that's 70,000, and for product B, that's 50,000. So we have to do a little bracket here, 70. And then in product B, we're going to subtract out 50. All right, so our annual net cash flow for product A then is 250 minus 120 minus 70. So that's equal to 250 minus 190. So that's 60,000, right? And the same thing goes over here. So 350 minus 170 minus 50 equals 130. All right, so here's our cash flows, right? And I need those to calculate my payback period, right? In fact, I'll just cut and paste those, right? Okay, so for product A, oh, I'm sorry, that doesn't go there. That goes here in the cash inflow. All right, so 60,000 cash inflow for product A and 130,000 inflow for product B. So definitely product B has more cash inflow, but this is what's gonna matter is this cost, right? So there's zero salvage value, so we don't have to worry about that. Don't have to add anything back in at the end, take the time value of money at the end and add it back or anything like that. So 170 for product A, 380 for product B. And product B costs us 380, so considerably larger investment. So let's see what that makes for our payback period. So this is 60,000 per year, and that's 130,000 per year. So if you take 170, divide it by 60,000 per year, 170 divided by 60,000 per year gives you 2.83 years, and $380,000 divided by $130,000 per year gives you 2.92 years. So this is your answer, right? What they wanted to know is what's the payback period. So our payback period then is 2.83 years and 2.92 years. All right, so this is your answer to problem 1, requirement 1 in the problem for chapter 4, calculate payback period. You have to calculate the annual net cash flows, and then you divide that into the investment, and you come up with the number of years. Again, a very crude method of doing that. Doesn't consider time value of money at all. So what we'll do is, when we come back on the next video, we'll start doing a little finer method of calculating the returns on these investments. All right, see you on the next video.